my beautiful angels, and welcome to another day of our Soul Healing Summit. Today, we have Jennifer Hill as our guest. Jennifer is such a beautiful soul inside and out, as you'll get to see on this interview. She's an evolutionary leader, entrepreneur, author, speaker, and TV host. She has hosted popular shows with Deepak Chopra, Rollin McCraty, Dain Heer, and many other leaders from all around the world. And after selling her first company in 2018, Jennifer recently co founded a new company in the wellness space called Heals. And that is actually how we got to know each other. Jennifer, welcome. How are you doing today?
I am so good. It is such a pleasure to be here with you and your audience, and just grateful that we all get to be on our path, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of the path, I would love to hear from you because you emanate this beautiful light within you, but we all know that it didn't start it that way. So, what was that pivotal moment in your life that you were like, you know what, I have to do something, I have to find another way to allow the light to shine through me?
When I was in my early 20s, I was in a very, very dark place. I was bulimic. I had been suicidal and attempted suicide 3 times between the ages of 18 and 21. And I found myself one day, I was in a personal development class. You know how you kind of like hit rock bottom, and I would often drink and I would throw up and I would just I hated myself. I really, really loathed myself. And somehow or another, in the middle of all of that, I got this hot boyfriend who was doing personal development work. So a couple of months into our dating, he did a class called Landmark Worldwide. And I don't know if this has ever happened to you, Veronica, or any of you out there, but he was adamant I had to do it. He's like, you got to do this thing, Jen, you got to take this class. And I was like, no, you can't make me. So for 6 months of us dating, I was just pouting and resisting. And finally, at that point, I was such a jerk. In fact, one of my memoir will probably, well, I won't even say what it's going to be called, but it has to do with being a recovering jerk. Because people look at me and they see, oh, you're so light filled and so wonderful. And I'm like, oh God, talk to somebody who knew me when I was 20 to 25 and they would have a very different story. And so around that time, I decided to spite my boyfriend at the time and to take the class to prove that it was a cult and full of crap. So you cannot make this up. I literally sign up for the class. And then I literally tell my boyfriend, I was like, I'm taking it, but I'm just taking it to prove that it's wrong. So he's like, okay, better than nothing at all. So I go into the class, and Veronica, the class starts, and there are about 150 people in this hotel room or this room outside of LAX. And the teacher who's facilitating it, he says, does anybody have any questions for us about how the class is going to go? My hand shoots up and he says, yes, you over there in the Von Bitch t-shirt. I literally had a t-shirt on that was light pink with magenta Von Bitch written on it.
No way.
Can't make this up. And he's like, yes, you over there in the Von Bitch t-shirt. And I'm like, how would you respond to the fact that this, meaning the class, is a cult? Now, mind you, there are 150 people whose heads look at me, look at him, and he just laughed. He's like, he gave a little chuckle. He's like, if it is a cult, it's the best damn cult you'll ever join. So I am sitting there, Veronica, all weekend, and I am just seething and stewing in self-righteousness. I'm bulimic. I have been doing drugs and alcohol and all sorts of stuff. I mean, the antithesis of what a healthy person looks like. And I just sat there judging everybody in the room all weekend. So come to the culmination of it. It's all finishing now, and your friends get to come who invited you. So my boyfriend is sitting there, and he's very excited to see what miracles have happened for me. So he sits there, and the class culminates, and the woman who is co-leading it, a tall Aussie woman, comes up to us afterwards and says to me, are you going to take the advanced class? And I looked at her and I said, sweetheart, darling, it was stifling enough having sat in this room the last 3 days. Do you really think I would put myself through this hell again? And my boyfriend looks at her and he says, oh, don't get me started. It took her 8 months just to do this one. And this was one of those moments. You wanted to hear the moment, Veronica.
I do. I'm waiting for the punchline.
It's the actual moment. It's that moment where there's a before and an after, like that movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, where your life literally takes a fork. I look at my boyfriend and I say, this is an at-will relationship. You can leave anytime you want. The
Whoa.
woman co-leading the class, looks at me and says, "Can I be really straight with you?" And I said, "Sure, darling, go ahead. You be really straight with me." She looked me dead in the eye and said, "You are a nasty thing." She said, "You are one of the most powerful women I've ever met in my life, and yet you are using your powers to destroy the people around you. You're like Godzilla walking through a city with this huge tail swinging behind you, knocking down buildings wherever you go. Except you know what? Those aren't buildings, those are people whose lives are destroying." She looks at my
Whoa.
boyfriend and said, "Leave her. It's what she needs." And we left.
How
So
long were you dating the boyfriend for?
he became my ex-husband, actually.
Whoa.
I always say it was the biggest gift because my life transformed. After that, I went into my office the next day because I was so shell-shocked. I was just completely oblivious. I didn't realize how it occurred for people. I knew I hated myself, like I didn't love myself, but I didn't realize how this was manifesting in the world. So I went into my office the next day, and there were about 25 people who I'd worked with for a year. And I said to the team, I said, "Guys, have I ever been maybe condescending or demeaning to any of you?" The office went so silent, you could hear a pin drop
Mm.
until one woman who had no problem saying it like it was, laughed out loud and said, "Jay Hill," that was my nickname with my old company, "you are only the biggest bitch we've ever met, and we have no idea how you're successful." But that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Out of those 2 instances, that
Whoa.
catalyzed me into self-development, and so kudos to my ex-husband. Ironically, he set me on the path of personal development,
You stuck
studying.
through. He
Yeah, he
he
was
went
there.
all the
I mean,
way.
he was, and then eventually, I left him because he ironically didn't stay on the spiritual path. So he totally catalyzed me to be like, "Wow, okay, open up to the light and to all the magic in the world." And then he just had different priorities, and for me, I wanted to continue my spiritual growth and to have a life partner who was on that journey with me.
And it's interesting because I got to meet you more recently and seeing you in this light and then hearing your story. So I'm like, wait, how was I back before this whole journey began? I'm like, I'm actually that looking back, I wasn't that proud of myself. I had that, certain bitchy side to me as well, especially to people that I would just meet. And I'm like, I don't know you. Like, you have to earn that attention in a way. And I'm like, get off your high horse. Like, so
Don't
I
realize,
I
though, it
understand that.
causes so much pain. Okay, I wasn't gonna say this, but the memoir that I'm working on is called Bitch in Recovery.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, we we need a shout out when that comes out. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's because I wanna show people that no matter what you've been through, you can be the biggest jerk. You can be a jerk to yourself, a jerk to others, and it's not about your past. It's not, yes, make amends, say you're sorry, apologize, and go out there and choose different choices. That's what it really comes down to. That's the message that I wanna share with everybody, that no matter how much darkness you might feel that is just crushing you still have equal, if not more light. One of my favorite Kabbalistic teachings is they say in Kabbalah, I love studying Kabbalah, it's one of the many disciplines I study. They say that there are 3 aspects to all of us. There is the right side, which is mercy. There's the left side, which is judgment. And then there's the central column, which is neutral. And every one of us, Veronica, comes from either the right side, the side of mercy, or the left side, the side of judgment. Now, I have met one of my old colleagues, God bless her, Lauren, shout out to you. She definitely came from the right side. She's like fairy dust and angels wherever she walked, just like, oh, mercy and love and joy and happiness. And then the left side people, where if you come from the side of judgment, like I did, then what my teacher said is that, yes, it may seem painful, but because you have so much more darkness to overcome, that is equal to the amount multiplied of light that you can reveal. Because those of us who go through great darkness then have to do triple or quintuple the work to get to the light.
Especially if you're a huge empath and you feel everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that just contemplates. I love hearing about that journey and kind of getting a view of who Jennifer was before because when I met you and I met your business partner first as well,
Yeah.
and I remember Moon was just saying, like, Jennifer just gives healing sessions to everybody left and right. And you started this company that I would love the audience to hear about. You're like, this work is amazing. I want to share with everybody. And Moon would always say, like, Jennifer just buys healing sessions for all of her friends. Like, here, try this, try this. So please tell us more about the company.
Yeah, so Moon and I created a company called Heals, and our passion, like you just said, Veronica, I was actually on a call with somebody earlier today who was a healer about this. I feel so grateful. I'm going to tear up. Healing has saved my life and saved the lives of so many people. One of my best friends, thank God she got healing last year, literally saved her life. Just recently, we had our housekeeper, who I adore, just one of the most beautiful souls you'll ever meet, doesn't speak English, she's Brazilian. And one day she walked into the house, and Veronica, it crushed my soul. I could feel her heart. Despite not speaking the same language, I just went over to her, I said, "Are you okay?" And she broke down in tears and told me her baby was dying. Like, her little baby boy that I had known had been in the hospital for 3 weeks, 3 weeks. And modern medicine, I am all for modern medicine. I think it's amazing, though there are times where you need to call like a Hail Mary pass. And she said, "Jen, he's dying. I don't think he's going to make it." And I said, "Okay, stop what you're doing. I'm going to introduce you. There's one of these incredible healers like you, Veronica, on our platform, who specializes in working with babies, named Badra, out of Australia." And I immediately introduced them via email. I said, "Please, please, please, I'll gift her a session. Immediately, please try and help her." And Badra worked day and night till her son was healed. And he did, he lived. And, it's so, yes, I have gifted
That's such a
probably
beautiful story.
I have probably gifted thousands of healing sessions to people. And with Heals, what our intention was, is I've also sometimes gifted the wrong healing session to somebody, because one of my best girlfriends, I gave her a session, or I suggested a session for her, and it wound up being terrible. So what we discovered with Heals is that you could have the world's best healer, but if that person is not energetically aligned with the person they're healing, it creates an accidental adversarial relationship. So on Heals, what we do is we ask people 20 questions, which you've answered to. Of course, you're one of the practitioners, and users answer 20 questions. And then that pops out a list of the top healers who meet what they're looking for and also meet energetically what they need.
Hence, the intention beyond this summit is to find your own healer, because I truly believe that it's good to get to experience that person first, or at least to get a sense of it. Because when you find your person, every cell in your body is going to get excited. Everything's going to be like, I don't know what or how, but I feel like you just know me. You understand me. You meet me. And that is because we're part of the same soul family. We signed a contract to
Yes.
somehow meet up in this life and help each other. It doesn't matter what side of the world we came from. I mean, I was born in Romania, then I came to America because apparently that's the journey that I had to make to find my soul family here. It's very, very important to be matched to the right person. And you giving so many sessions to all of your friends, you're like, might as well just start a company so I can have unlimited amount of sessions and healers to reach out. And definitely, if you're a light worker, healer, and if this is something that you already do with your groups, please reach out to Jennifer and have her open that door for you, because right now, more than ever, this kind of work is so, so necessary. As we're ascending, like we were talking about right before the interview, we're ascending at quantum miles per hour since the entire pandemic started, right? So many things, so many gifts are coming to the surface, but we don't know how to deal with it or how to understand them. What are some of the most amazing hacks that you have experienced or you are still using to this day to like bring you into that balanced state every day?
There are so many. I'm on social media, you can see the tips. I actually have 365 days of tips for living your best life. So I'm about halfway through those tips. So I share, there's so many that it's like, how do I pick one or two? I will say one of my favorites is a game called How Does It Get Any Better Than This? And it's a very, very simple game. It was taught to me by Gary Douglas, the co-founder of Access Consciousness. And years ago, he taught me this game. He said, "Jen, every time something a little bit good happens, you say out loud, 'How does it get any better than this?'" Now, what that does from a neuroscience standpoint, we have billions and billions of bits of information bombarding us second by second. And when we say, how does it get better than this? What we're doing is we're redirecting our attention to the bits of information that will prove how it's about to get better. So science tells us of those billions of bits, we're only paying attention to say 120 of billions of bits. So every time you either say, how does it get better than this? Or another new friend of mine, Dr. Cynthia Sue Larson, who wrote the book Quantum Jump, says, how good can it get? Take your pick, whichever one you want. You say that over and over. And I kid you not, Veronica, I started first playing that game in July of 2017 when Gary taught it to me. Less than 1 month later, somebody offered to buy my company out of the blue. And that's how I sold my first company.
Wow. I'm smiling because I began practicing this, I want to say about maybe 2 months ago. And I don't know how I came across this message, whether it came in a meditation or maybe I read something. And I always ask every time I feel amazing or something really good happens, I'm like, does it get any better than this? And then the angels find a way to like top that. And then I'm like, does it get any better than this? And like surprises keep coming because even energetically, like we all have consult teams. And when you ask that question, you're allowing your angels to surprise you with more magical things. It truly
Exactly. And
works.
so I'm going to give you something to piggyback on that, which is to look for the miracles in your life.
Mm.
And so a famous thought leader named Dr. Todd Avakaitis, I was interviewing him about a year ago, and I shared with him my evening practice, and it is this. So for many years now, I would write down every night before bed, what am I proud of myself for that maybe nobody will ever know that I did? Maybe I held open a door or bought somebody food who was hungry that nobody else will ever know except me. So what am I proud of myself for? Might even be not having that second piece of chocolate banana bread that my husband made that was quite delicious. You write those things down. You also write down, how could I have lived today better? So I would write that down. How could I live today better? And then I would finish with three things I was grateful for. So this was a practice I had had ongoingly for a few years. I interviewed Dr. Todd, and Dr. Todd says, Jen, I'm going to challenge you to add a couple more things to your list. I was like, okay. He said, I also want you to write down the moments of awe, synchronicity, and miracles every day. So
Mm.
fast forward, this was about last December. One day it's a morning time and I set my morning intentions and I was like, I wonder what it would be like to look for 10 miracles today. So I write down on my morning intentions, started to write down, receive 10 or more miracles and the wisdom to recognize and appreciate them. Though my finger slipped and it wrote 19. I was typing it on my phone. And I was like about to delete the 9 and turn it back into 0. And I was like, wait a second, if the universe wants to give me 9 extra miracles, who am I to deny the universe the pleasure, to your earlier point?
Right. That's why you always say more this
Yeah,
and more or better.
exactly. So that day I said 19 or more miracles. By noon, I had had 14 miracles. I mean, huge miracles. I got to check into a hotel. I was upgraded to a suite at like 9 a.m. I mean, just a miracle. One of my best friends was available. My favorite restaurant had a reservation for dinner. Huge miracles. And so since then, it's become a game that I play is I write down every day, universe, please give me 19 or more miracles and the wisdom to recognize and appreciate them.
Mm, I love that. I love that. If you're listening to this, I would highly encourage you to write this down. What a beautiful, beautiful sentence. In fact, put it on your fridge and read that every day. I allow miracles in my life and give me the wisdom to appreciate them. It's so
Recognize.
important.
Yes, that's it. We're all given miracles, yet we don't have wisdom. And I will say the third thing that I think is probably one of the most powerful practices that I've implemented in the last few years, and I teach people, is to say this out loud. And this works for jobs, it works for dating, it works for friends, whatever you can imagine. Say, universe, please remove anything or anyone who is not meant to be in my life and give me the wisdom to know it's happening for my good.
Mm. Aho. And that's
Yeah.
such an important one. I always say when you begin your spiritual journey, there is the terms and conditions that nobody tells you about. Because when you grow, you're technically getting on a different highway than maybe some of the people from your life that were there before. And it gets lonely at first because you're like, okay, well, I can't relate to this person anymore. Or I can't allow this relationship in my life. And I'm like, look at the bright side. You're actually making space for more of your kind, of your soul family to come in. And it's so beautiful that you shared that with us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Such an amazing hacks. And I know you could probably share for hours all the amazing hacks.
I love them. This is why I shared it. That's why one day God said, "You're going to basically create 365 days of tips for living your best life." And I was like, God, I don't know 365 days of tips. And now I'm on day 160 or something. And I'm like, every day I keep getting more downloads.
Beautiful. And where the audience can find those tips. I know you have your TikTok account. What's the name on that one?
It's actually Omheals, OMHEALS is TikTok, or at Jen Hill Speaker is a lot of my other Instagram and other things is at Jen Hill Speaker.
If someone is watching you right now and they're like, I really, really, really want to work with Jennifer, but I don't know if she's my person, who is the ideal person? What drives you
Hmm.
to work with somebody? That when you see that spark, or when you hear that question, where you sense that you're like, I know I can truly make a difference in your life. I know exactly what to do. Who's that person for you?
That is a very, very interesting question that I've never been asked before. Let me check in on the soul level of for me, everything is intuition, Veronica. So it's interesting to quantify it. It's kind of like when we came up with that secret sauce matching formula for Om Heals. I had always matched people intuitively at my old legal recruiting company. So I'd just be like, I pick you, and just would naturally match people. I would say the most important thing for me is somebody who's coachable. It's if you look at, God forbid, when I was years ago when I told that story, I was the least coachable person when I was, 20, 21, 22. And I think that no matter where you are, what age you are, I have friends, clients of every age, shape, color from around the world. It all comes down to how open are you to learning and to taking action on it, because some people might be coachable, but then they don't take the action. And it hurts my heart because I love people. And, you know this too, as somebody who works with people closely, it's heartbreaking when you see somebody make the same choices over and over and not take the step. So, one, being coachable, and then two, being willing to take action on it, even if it's uncomfortable. And it's not about perfection. I am very lucky to get to facilitate a lot of courses. One of my dear friends, Arthur Samuel Joseph, trained Tony Robbins, Dwayne Wade, Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, and numerous other people. And he and I facilitate a lot of courses together every year. And when we're working with people, we always say it's about excellence. It's not about perfection. So as long as you are willing to show up and do the work and do the work again and be willing to try it and try it again. And in fact, cancel. I don't like to use the word try. Do the work. I like to remove the words try or hope. And that's one of the things I'm very good at discerning for people. People have these stories that they say, Veronica, and they don't realize they're inadvertently manifesting them through their words. So I've very much learned over my years of coaching and training and mentoring people how to listen for what people are saying that they're not committed to, and helping them to shift that language where it's literally life altering. One sentence you're saying over and over every day, and somebody, whether it's me or someone else, shining that flashlight for you and saying, wait, is that what you're committed to? And then you get to have an opportunity in that moment to choose. Is this what I choose? I'll give you a great example in my own life. Many years ago, when I was building my last company, I mean, I was building it in 2010, 11, 12, 13 during the Great Recession. And I remember one of my clients called me, Barb, and she said, "Hey, Jen, it's Barb. I know how busy you are." And the moment she said that, Veronica, it was reflected back to me in the same way I often listen for people. I was like, I don't want to be busy. Being busy sucks. That doesn't sound like fun. And when Barb said that to me, I realized I was saying busy over and over. I'm lucky to be busy, right? That was my story. I was lucky to be busy during the recession and have so many clients. So instead, in that moment, I shifted the language and I no longer ever use the word busy. And instead now I say I have more miracles than I've ever had before.
That's such a profound one because I remember for me personally, I was living a fast paced life, being in a corporate world, going after that success. And I was constantly busy. Like my friends had to book time with me 2 months in advance just to go out for dinner.
Mm.
And then just looking back, and I'm like, wow. It's amazing to have mentors in our life that shine that light. And just like you, I personally was lucky enough to meet so many like random strangers along the way that pushed me to get to this level. This has been amazing. What a great opportunity to hear from you, to sense your light and all that you've been through and how you shifted from your past to who you chose to be today. And that is so, so, so important because a lot of times we do share that story. This happened to me, or that happened to me, or that person did this and that person did that. And when you take all of that, you're like, you know what? This is my training. Now I get to choose who I want to be today. And that is the most important thing. It doesn't matter what happened in the past, is who you choose to show up as today. And with your permission, would you please guide us on a journey to maybe something that we can use every day to come back to the light, to the balance, to the beautiful version of ourselves that we get to present every day? Unless you
Mm.
wanna do something different.
No, that's perfect. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll draw from Heart Math. I am a Heart Math certified trainer and coach as well. I heart math. I'm very lucky to get to co-produce the Global Coherence Pulse with my dear friend Teresa Collins and Rollin McCraty every month. And so this will be in honor of Heart Math. We'll start with some heart focused breathing, which is integral to Heart Math, to Joe Dispenza's work, Bruce Lipton, Greg Braden. And so we'll begin with heart math, and then we'll go into a deeper meditation on radiance that I just created.
Mm, sounds amazing.
I know when you're ready. Are you ready?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Thank you, beautiful angel. That was so amazing. I just felt this ocean of infinite love
Mm,
spreading to the entire world. It was interesting that throughout, I actually still sensed some pain and like discomfort in the heart area.
mm,
And it goes to show how there's no beginning and no end to who we are, because when we connect, our energy you can feel the entire collective. And then towards the end, when we came back, it just everything turned into beautiful light. And
mm,
it's, it's amazing to know that all the work that we get to do on ourselves, we serve so many around, so many hundreds and thousands of people they will probably never know. It's so magical to get to know you as a beautiful soul that does this in the world, that not only does this from your heart, but brings so many healers together to offer this amazing work to the world, because we need this now more than ever. One question that came through when it comes to the heart, as a lot of people are afraid to open the heart because that also holds a lot of pain and turmoil, not only love. So, when you work with somebody, when you ask them to open their heart, how do you clear or dissipate or maneuver through the stuff that have been held there maybe for generations and generations?
Wow, it's such a powerful question. I'm a fan of constellation healing. I don't do it myself. I love constellation healing. I had a session that was a constellation healing years ago that was really powerful. I find that the greatest way that we can heal old trauma and old wounds is to allow ourselves compassion and grace. I am a big, huge fan of inner child work. And so for me, part of my morning practice, in addition to a morning meditation that I do every day, I ground myself in the same way that I took us through that meditation. I visualize a white light shooting down to the center of the earth, making a wish and filling up that wish with everything I want for the day, sending it back up. And then I do a few minutes of heart focused breathing, of breathing in and out right through the center of my heart or chest. And then I immediately go into inner child work. And I put my right hand on my heart and my left hand on my womb or abdomen area. And I just talk to my little girl. And it is so powerful that no matter what traumas we or our ancestors, our parents have gone through in this lifetime or prior lifetimes, there's a little perfect spark of you that is the inner child, the little boy or girl or they or them, that is the light and the wholeness within you. And when you acknowledge that, when you nurture that, You can move mountains. Many years ago, when I was going through my divorce, one of my best friends gave me the best piece of advice I'd ever received. And she said, Jen, you deserve to find somebody who will cherish you. Though first you must cherish yourself. And I
Mm.
think that is the thing that could heal all wounds is cherishing oneself.
Becoming a priority in your life and taking care of your little heart and the little girl or the little boy in you. And then we get to shine and present our best version in the world and with
Yeah,
each
and you get
other.
to go back to being a kid. I didn't know. I was so shy, honestly, Veronica. People don't know this about me, but I was a total geek and introvert as a kid. And so I spent all my time in the library reading books and helping handicapped kids. That's what I did with my recess time. And so I always loved to dance, but I had been made fun of one time when I was dancing, maybe in middle school. So I really stopped dancing most of my life. And then it's only been in the last, 5 or 10 years that I've really embraced, and it turns out my inner child loves to dance. So every day we dance together, and it's fantastic. My soul loves it.
Thank you for the reminder because dancing is definitely like food for my soul. And
I know I
when,
posted a
when I
video
don't do it, then I'm like, oh, my cup is getting empty. Like, I need to dance, I need to move.
every day. I do it. It was so funny. Nobody except my husband normally sees me like freestyle dance, which I love to do, obviously all the time by myself. And then we had people over for New Year's recently. And I don't drink often, but when I do, I didn't drink all night for New Year's. And then right before New Year's Eve, like right before midnight, I started pouring really good champagne for all our friends. I was like, "Well, I'll just have a little." Next thing you know, I'm twirling around the living room like I'm a nutcracker ballerina. It was fantastic.
And Nutcracker Ballerina. We need to get that video
Oh,
behind the
it's
scenes.
live. It's on my TikTok. I was like, do I post it? Do I not? It was just hilarious because the fact that I did that, let alone that somebody recorded it, and I was like, you know what? I don't care. That's how I know I've reached the next evolution of my soul is I don't care what anyone thinks.
You're speaking like you were shy and all that. I'm like, you're speaking about me because I was shy. You couldn't get a word out of me, like, especially in school. I always knew the answers and I would just like stay there quiet with my face down. I'm like begging. I'm like, please call my name. Please call my name. Because I was even shy to raise my hand and say, hey, out of the whole class, like, I know the answer. Like,
I love that. Yeah, but nobody knows this about us. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. Everybody thinks they have us pinged. I love to hide in my hidey hole. This is my living room. And when I'm not traveling around the world and out with friends or whatever, I can spend a week here without getting in a car and not leaving the house except to walk my dog or spend time with my husband because I love time to myself.
that's amazing. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you are a closet or a trained extrovert like we are, use this as an inspiration because we are kicked in the butt to share our gift and do this publicly and get on live videos and do podcasts and interviews and summits. But that doesn't come necessarily easy to either one of us because we're
I get
trained extroverts.
rarely get people hangovers. I do. Like I have had parties, like my own parties at my house, my own wedding and so forth. I will be like, okay, guys, so it's now time where I turn into a pumpkin and I'm going to bed. I have hit my people capacity for the night. And I don't care if there's 2 people here or 50 people here. My husband can entertain or they can entertain themselves and I'm going to sleep.
Oh my goodness, I relate to you on so many levels. This one. And I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to this right now, and let this be an inspiration for you to embrace your uniqueness, your unicorn self. And that is one of the main reasons because once you embrace every part of you that makes you so unique, so special, so different, so unicorn like, the rest is easy. You will attract amazing people in your life. They're your soul family. You will feel amazing because now you're in a world that you are surrounded by like-minded people.
May that be the wish for everyone. Just go out there and find your tribe. And, having been with my ex-husband for 14 years and then meeting my soulmate, literally, this is wild. 14 years with my ex-husband, I made a deal with God and I was like, God, I'm going to trade you in a perfectly good, slightly used husband. He comes with a car and a house, all the accoutrements. You can have him back. My only request is this, give him his soulmate. I'll pray and meditate on that and give me mine. That's all I ask. And I was willing to do anything to have my soulmate. I made a list of every element, every sees laughter in my eyes, sees me for who I really am. 14 days after I formally asked my ex-husband for divorce, after we had been separated a few months, I met my current husband and fell madly in love. So I wish that for everyone.
Mm. Let's contemplate that for every person that is looking for their soulmate. That's
Yes, and
amazing.
soulmate energy.
Beautiful. Aho, aho, aho. May this energy quantumplay in every possible way and bring so many miracles in your life. And may you find those guides, those soul family members like Jen and I found to help us shine our light, to break and scrape down all the things that we picked up that no longer serves us and allow the beauty within us, the love within us to shine through.
Mm,
May you have the most beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And may your heart be open to love, to feel, to sense, and enjoy this beautiful journey. Thank you.
namaste.
Namaste.